What's up, Biathlon fans? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Halligan. This is my YouTube channel about biathlon. And for the first time since we started the podcast, Ethan and I see each other in person. We knew each other before we started the podcast, but since we started the podcast, we've been doing everything virtual online. But now we're here today because we're in Soldier Hollow, Utah for the Junior World Biathlon team trials, and Ethan reached out and said he was going to be competing and I was going to be here coaching, and so we're like, why don't we get together and do some Q&A, because we have a lot of people who always get they have a bunch of questions for us, and it's good for you guys to get to know us a little bit better. Ethan, how's it been?
Pretty good. It's been nice being out here in Utah. We finally got some sun. It was pretty snowy and rainy for the first part, but it's been good. I'm excited to answer some of you guys' questions and be here in person with Brian.
Pretty easy one from Eric Potter. How did you come about biathlon?
Well, in the town that my grandparents lived in, there was a small biathlon range on this guy's farm, and they saw an ad in the newspaper to say, hey, come try it out one time. And so my brother and I went down and tried it out, and since then we've both kind of stuck with it, and here we are today. It's pretty... not like a super glamorous story, but it worked, and here we are.
Did you follow biathlon, like the World Cup or anything, before you did it? Like, what intrigued you to go try it?
I never followed the World Cup. I didn't really know much about it. I'd never really heard about it. But the idea of kind of being able to ski, which is what I loved at the time, and I was like maybe 12 years old or something at the time, being able to ski, and I'd never really shot or been around rifles or firearms before, so that was another thing that was kind of interesting to me. And it was just a fun combination that I like to do.
Yeah, I guess my story is pretty similar. My dad did biathlon with the National Guard long before I was born, so I just kind of grew up around the sport. But like yourself, I was a skier first, and I think that's like most biathletes, is most people grow up skiing, and then somewhere along the line they start doing biathlon. I was always exposed to biathlon, but I didn't really start until I was like 10 or 12 as well. So, kind of like, at least for me, I was always following the World Cup because my dad always, would wake up early and watch biathlon. And then once I started getting to like 8, 9, 10 years old, I started waking up early to watch biathlon with him. So I guess I've been following the World Cup for many years. Only really competing since I was about 12 years old. I would like to know, who is your favorite biathlete, woman and man? Smiley face.
Well, I guess for me, it's probably going to be a little biased just because we are Americans, but my favorite male biathlete is going to have to be Sean Doherty. He grew up in the same place and was part of the same club I was, and he's always been that guy that I've kind of looked up to, and he's the guy that I look at the results, and he's the first name I look for. Go straight to that. And then women, probably Susan Dunkley. She's not always consistently at the top, but when she has a great race, it's always really exciting to watch. And she's a super awesome person too. At training camps, we always see the national team there, and they're always super nice. Come sit with us, have meals with us. And they're all super great people, so it's hard not to choose two of them, I think, for me.
Man, I feel weird now because my favorite athletes are not American. My favorite athlete of all time, I think the person who really got me into like watching the World Cup and everything was actually Emil Hegel Svensson, Super Svensson as he was known, the Norwegian guy who on his, he was just really clutch for the Norwegian team, and clutch in his prime. Towards the end of his career, he had a few chokes at the Olympics, but I remember watching Super Svensson as a junior and thinking, man, like, that's so cool, that's what I want to do. For the women, honestly, right now, I gotta say my favorite female athlete is Stina Nielsen, just because I think it's super exciting to watch her race, and like kind of what you said, every time you pull up the results, you go straight to Sean. Yeah. I pull up the results and go straight to Stina because I just want to see where she finished. And there's nothing about her that like, it's not like she has like great technique or that she's even winning any races or anything. But right now, I just like every race, I just really want to know how she's doing. So Eric Potter also wants to know, what is your favorite World Cup venue?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, so my favorite World Cup venue is Novo Mesto na Morave, and the reason for that is because it's actually twofold. One, I raced there when I was a junior for Open European Championships, and the course just really suits me. There's a lot of like long gradual uphills where if you just get into a really strong V2, you can do really well there. And so I have personal experience there, had some good races, so it always brings up good memories. But also just seeing World Championships in 2013 in Novo Mesto, where they just literally turned the stadium into like something the equivalent of a college football stadium that we would see here in the U.S. I think is just awesome. It's so cool to see fans come out, and I know you get that at Ruhpolding and Oberhof and Anholz, but something about Novo Mesto just like, it's just biathlon. And to me, when I think of a biathlon venue, I just immediately think of Novo Mesto.
But I'm probably going to have to go with Anholz, just because watching it, it's always such a great atmosphere, and it always looks so nice and sunny, and it's fun to watch. The races are always super exciting, and they're always kind of shaken up a little bit with the altitude there. Like, some of the fastest skiers kind of feel it a little bit, and that brings the race a little closer together. And I feel like at Anholz, they always do either a mass start or a relay, which are two of my favorite biathlon disciplines to watch. And Anholz always just produces such great races.
So this one's pretty similar. Best location in the U.S. for biathlon. I might be a little bit biased, but why don't you answer this one first?
Okay, well, I mean, in the U.S. there's not a ton of places to do biathlon, but there's kind of two main places where biathlon happens in the U.S., and that's in Lake Placid, New York, and Soldier Hollow in Utah. I think my favorite place is probably Lake Placid, because they just built a brand new range and venue.
Have you been there yet?
I have not yet.
Oh, neither have I. Nationals are there this spring, so I'm really looking forward to checking out the new stuff.
I'm excited for that.
But
I'd probably say Lake Placid because it was brand new stuff. The old stuff was super awesome too. And then they have a smaller range with some roller ski tracks too, so it's kind of nice to get different varieties even being in the same place.
But you've skied those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, it's almost like a roller coaster because it's very tightly packed in because they have a limited amount of space. But it's just very up and down, lots of crazy turns, and that's really fun roller skiing. If you're comfortable on roller skis, if not, it could be terrible.
It's pretty fun though.
Yeah. Man, I'm a little biased because I coach a biathlon program in California, so that's obviously the best place to be. But I'm actually gonna have to give a shout out to Saratoga Biathlon Club, where I grew up doing biathlon, and there's a lot of really cool quirks about this place that just like made me fall in love with the sport when I was a junior. For one, their range is backwards. You enter the range backwards. So point one is still where point one normally is, except you enter the range at point one. So lefties have the advantage at this range. Everyone else has to like loop around like lefties normally do. The other thing too is they built those trails before skating was even a thing. So all the trails are very turny, like really good for classic skiing, but with the advent of skating and now with like, faster waxes and skis and stuff, you can just get ripping on those trails and like be flying off the trail around turns and stuff if you're going too fast. And so it's just really fun. It's just really exciting to do biathlon there. Have you been there?
Yeah, so when Brian was my coach before our trial races, they were in Vermont, which is right next to New York. So we went to Brian's house and trained at the Saratoga Biathlon Club, and it was pretty sweet. I was definitely a little thrown off by the backwards entry to the range, but it was a pretty awesome place.
That's right. I've exposed you to Saratoga Biathlon Club. Okay, which do you think is the harder discipline for beginners to learn, skiing or shooting?
This is a good question. I think this is kind of one that I always get.
Me too.
Which one is harder? Which one do you enjoy more? But I have to say shooting, because as a little kid, laying there in the cold trying to focus is not the easiest thing to do. But then going skiing around, having fun outside, going fast is pretty awesome. I have to say that the shooting aspect is definitely harder to learn as a beginner, especially if you're just starting as a kid.
I'm going to actually go the opposite. I work a lot with people who want to just try the sport, and every once in a while I'll even get people who, they're very eager and they think that they're like, maybe they have some athletic background and they want to go for the Olympics in 2 years and have never seen snow before.
Yeah.
And the people who, if you're mentally aware, I feel like people can pick up shooting pretty quick. Like if you teach them the basics and you get them good equipment, I've seen people go from 0 to pretty consistent, like 50% pretty quick, and then getting from that 50% to like 80% definitely takes a few years of like real practice, and then you add in a race scenario, high heart rate, stuff like that. But I find that skiing just takes a really long time to pick up. The endurance that you need for cross-country skiing and biathlon takes years to develop. That's why we even see people on the World Cup, both Nordic and cross-country and biathlon, sometimes they don't peak until their mid-30s, just because they have years of base and development. I think technique for snow, I find that some people just have it and some people don't. Like some people just feel comfortable on skis and some people just do not. So for that reason, I'm going to say skiing is harder to pick up. However, if you're a skier who's had a background in skiing and then are trying to transition to biathlon, then yeah, obviously the shooting is a new thing to learn. But if you're mentally competent and you're all there, like I've seen people pick up shooting extremely fast. So, What is to this day your favorite race of all time?
I think we're gonna have the same race.
Okay.
I hope we have the same race.
All right,
maybe.
We'll see. Are you thinking of a World Cup race?
World Champs race.
Okay, all right. So am I.
Okay. I think my favorite race has to be when Lowell Bailey won.
Oh, okay.
Was this the race you were thinking?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I forgot about that one though.
Well, when Lowell Bailey won gold medal in the 2017 World Champs in the individual, it's got to be my favorite race because he was one of the last starters, first gold medal at World Champs for America. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a pretty big step for biathlon in the U.S.
Yeah. That race, I remember, so that was right after I decided to stop racing, and I was in class, I was going to school, and I wasn't really learning much in economics, so I just pulled up the race on my phone and, was hiding it under my desk as I was watching. And I just remember that last lap, he leaves the range, 3 seconds, first checkpoint, 2 seconds, second checkpoint, 1 second, and I just I'm like, oh my God, he's going to lose it. He crossed the finish line in first, and I had to step out. I went to the bathroom and I immediately called my dad in the hallway. I was like, Dad, he won. And my dad at work, he's like, I know, I watched it too. So yeah, just so much emotion comes to mind when I think of that race. For me, I was actually going to say the Nova Mesto mass start from 2013. Again, my favorite guy growing up, Emil Hegel Svensson and Martin Fourcade battled it out on the last lap at one of my favorite venues. So that one right there, it's once a year, when the World Cup's going on, I get enough World Cup video, but sometimes in the middle of the summer when nothing's happening, I'll pull that race up and just be like, oh yeah.
Another good one, if you're looking for races to watch, is the mass start from World Champs in 2016 in Oslo. Martin Fourcade, Johannes Tingesbo have a good battle in that race. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
If you're new to the sport, but definitely go watch that one too.
But yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's liked the videos, left comments down below. We do read them, and we try to think about some things that are said in the comments down below and try to include that in future episodes. But thank you so much, everyone, for giving the love and enjoying what we're doing here. We just, we're just two guys who like biathlon, so we watch the races and then we chat about it. But yeah, head on over to the podcast website and you can leave us a voice message. And yeah, if it's something, productive to the conversation, we'll even add it in the future episode. So yeah, you can find us there. And then obviously we're on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. So, whatever's easiest for listening, you can find the podcast anywhere.
I guess, if you have more questions, feel free to leave them down below.
Yeah.
If you have any critiques or, like Brian said, how to pronounce someone's name, we will always appreciate that help too. But yeah, thank you for listening and supporting us.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been fun. So, maybe we'll do this again. I don't know. Are you going to go to nationals at the end of the spring?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll probably run into each other sometime in the future. And if we do, we'll do this again. And hopefully we'll get some more questions, whether it's about biathlon or I guess all the questions were very specific to biathlon in this episode, but nobody wants to know what our favorite color is, or
We'll have to wait for next time.
yeah, I don't know. Just like everyone just cares about biathlon apparently, which is good. All right, buddy. We'll see you.